sound like he's on like steroids sometimes.
He sounds like
welcome back. Yeah, no, I was just talking about famous bodybuilders that use steroids. But anyways, welcome back to the show. In case you just tuned in, we have Professor Arjun De Silva here in the studio. We're speaking about performance enhancing drugs. Yes, and also supplements at the same time. Add that because a lot of people could relate to supplements here in this country as well. All right, so Professor, you were getting into detail about some of the various types of drugs. Could you please continue on that, please?
Yeah, well, as I said, there is steroids.
Right.
So that's banned in at any stage. So you can't take steroids and say that you are using them for any reason, especially the anabolic steroids.
So wait, before you continue, there's different types of steroids, anabolic, and what is the other?
Well, for instance, you get steroid, even prednisolone is a type of steroid.
Okay.
But that is allowed out of competition because sometimes you may use it to treat someone.
Yeah.
For instance, who has asthma or something.
Okay. But for sports, they only use the anabolic steroids.
I mean the real benefit would come from that. So that's one. Then you get hormones.
Okay.
So the most famous is human growth hormone. Again, growth hormone is used for various reasons. If it's used before the ends of your bones fuse, then you can grow taller. Obviously there is side effects if you keep using that hormone as well, and that condition is called acromegaly, but if in very small amounts it can help muscle building, performance overall, because that growth hormone acts in various parts of the body. So that's why Lance Armstrong was using this, because he had a team of scientists to tell him what to use as well.
Wow.
So he was using in very small amounts. Because at that level he just needed a small and daily very small amounts, and he used to check his blood daily. So that's another group which is used. Then you get substances like diuretics or water tablets. They are used in things like boxing, where you want to change your weight just because it dehydrates you. So before the fight, your weight just before the fight.
Of course.
So then you take this and you reduce your weight, and then you go for then immediately after that you can increase your weight before the fight.
Is that banned as well?
Yeah, that's banned. That's and it's also used to mask steroids, and that you can get rid of it faster. So therefore that's banned even in competition, out of competition as well. Then you get stimulants, which are banned mainly in competition. So the commonest one is called methylhexamine. We have had a lot of issues with that in Sri Lanka as well, especially in rugby and other sports as well. Through supplements, sometimes people didn't know they were taking this, because you take a tin. They said sometimes they may not say what it is. Sometimes it may be in a chemical name which even a doctor would find difficult to decipher. So it's an athlete sometimes who doesn't know even English, they are definitely not going to know that. So the best advice for them is to stay clear of that, and if they don't know, to ask a doctor.
A professional.
Doctor, and the doctor would always check. Of course you can check it on website as well, what it is, but there again it's difficult. So it's best is to avoid supplements. Then in addition, there we get on to the banned methods. So out of the banned methods there's so many, but this blood doping is the one which I said again Armstrong was using that, where you take your blood out and then you infuse it or give it in just before the event, so you get more blood than normal. So obviously for endurance that's good. there is a legal way of doing that, and that is to high altitude training.
Okay.
That's allowed.
Okay.
So you can train high altitude, you increase your blood level and your fitness. That is perfectly legal.
So jogging up a mountain.
Yeah.
Alright.
So that's legal. You can do that, but
like you said, it's regarding high altitudinal training, not competition. So you can't jog up in a competition and use that drug. So there's a huge difference, I think, between that. Okay. Jason, we were talking about the nutrition and how it affects how the performance enhancing drugs and how the performance of players after using that, how the nutrition should be affected as well. Jason had a question on that?
Yes, I did. But it seems like it was answered. Just a few seconds ago. But no, what I really wanted to ask is, when people tend to use, is there an ethical difference when they use performance enhancing drugs, and also compared to using performance enhancing technologies, like you mentioned before? But I was curious of what sort of technology they could use for this.
Yeah, well, I mean, training itself is using technology. For instance, there is something called VO2 max, or the maximum amount of oxygen you can take in. So that is a test of fitness. So I mean, using that technology, you have a very objective method of seeing whether you're fit or not. Otherwise, I mean, you can't tell everyone just to run on the road and check your timing. That's not going to be there. And if it's I mean, this is for, we say you want cricketers, you want to check, you can check that. So there are other tests called beep tests and things, but this is VO2 max is the gold standard, and we do have the machine as well now in Sri Lanka. So that can be tested. That's one thing. Then there is biomechanics, where you can, for instance, that was done on Murali as well. You can analyze your action and see whether it's if it's a cricketer, whether you say it's a fast bowler, whether his action is correct, whether that action is causing injuries. So that's one. Then there is actually a gene test to test whether you can be a good sprinter. That's available in Sri Lanka now. It's called, because there are two types of muscle fibers, fast twitch and slow twitch. If you take Usain Bolt, he's probably got about 95% fast twitch fiber. So he runs very fast. So there is a genetic test to do called ACT-N3, which you can check this gene. And if you have both, because you get two pairs of genes, one for your mother and father. If you have both, then it's most likely you will have very high percentage of these fibers.
And is that what Usain Bolt has, like you mentioned, sir?
Yes. Yes. So then you have the potential to be a champion, and then that's not enough. So you
really have to be training into that, I'm guessing.
You got to train. So that's using technology, and that's not cheating.
Of course.
Right. But then there's also something called gene doping, where you use a virus to introduce a specific gene, for instance, to produce testosterone. So then your body is producing it. So you can't, if you test it, it's from your own body, it's not from outside. So that's very difficult to detect. So that's the latest form of cheating.
The latest form of cheating.
Getting into testing, if the testing efforts, do you think it's effective, that how they test these drugs? Because, for example, Armstrong's been doing it for
that's a very good point. First I'll tell you the negative and the positive. What you said is perfectly true. Armstrong being tested about, I think, 700 times in his career. Never tested positive. Marion Jones was tested about 100 times. Never tested positive. So many people never, but they ultimately got caught. Alright. So it's like the new IOC president, Thomas Barr. He just spoke at the WADA conference, and the first thing he said about this was, it's like airport security.
That's a good one.
Okay.
It's like airport security. I mean, how you have to do it. How many terrorists do you detect? But it has to happen. So it's a deterrent mainly. Wow. And for countries like us, actually it's good because we never have the technology or the money to produce guys like Armstrong who can cheat at that level. So it's always better to be
legit.
Clean.
Of course, definitely.
And because it protects actually countries like us who have clean athletes and who have no technology and who are trying to compete clean. So it's always better to go that way than I think the system is getting much better. And I think every Olympics, now you see the Winter Olympics, it will be harder and harder to cheat.
That's brilliant. That is, well, I'm obviously going to take the easy. To be honest, before the show started, I was going to go the easy way out here.
Yes,
and I was joking, but I've been always wanted to go the hard way. But obviously, training and putting your best effort into it instead of leading on to this.
Yes.
But Doctor, we're out of time. It's been such a pleasure having you on the show.
Yes, thank you so much for being here, Professor.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Alright, so if you want to find out more information about today's show, you can email us at mtvsports@maharaja.lk, or you can visit us on our Facebook page on www.facebook.com/Good Morning Sri Lanka. Send us a message. You might just win something, or not. I'm not sure. You might win something. I'm not sure. Okay.
Alright, so we will see you tomorrow with more very inspirational guests and lots of things to talk about. So have a lovely day. Don't take any moment of it for granted. Bye-bye.